And let me bring in, if I may, the lovely and talented Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. Can you hear me okay? Check, check.
Yes, I can.
Oh, there she
Can
is.
you
Okay.
hear me
Yes,
okay?
I
Here
can
I
indeed.
am.
Yep. Give me one
Yes, I'm
second.
still
Bring it.
here. MAGA, I'm still here.
MAGA. Ew. Ew. MAGA is it?
I
Ew. Ew, MAGA. I'll be in the drawing room playing the
I
grand
made it
piano for
through all
MAGA.
of last year. You know the song? I made it through all of last year and I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
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 So,
Did you get the email/text that I wanted you to see?
yes, I did. So, let's
Great.
let's start in
I want
on
to start with
yeah.
that because hi friends in the chat, and I really, really, really hope that there are some MAGA people in the chat because we need to talk.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
I got death threats. I got death threats this weekend. I'm gonna really try to not get too emotional. When I get angry, I also get upset, and I feel like that makes me look weak, and I hate when that happens because I'm not weak. I'm angry. I'm angry that MAGA just can't fucking hold one person accountable. You can't hold one person accountable. You have to hold half the voting population of this country accountable because you can't cope with being wrong about someone, because you jumped to a conclusion, because you wanted to get ahead of a narrative, because you were afraid it was one of yours. You knew it was one of yours, and you still went ahead and decided to bullshit everybody to make sure that they talked about us instead of the shooter, that they talked about us instead of you and your culture of violence. And I'm angry about it because I have never once advocated for violence. And anyone who watches this show, watches my show, watches me, knows me at all, I've said so many times that I don't want anyone to die because of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Not anyone who voted for him, not anyone who didn't, nobody. What we saw was MAGA on MAGA violence, and they cannot cope with that. They cannot accept that they are fractured into factions, and they are. Just like the left has its own, the right has its own breakdown, and these are the same fucking grouper people who harassed me in 2016 and introduced me to the dark web and the way that they operate. And now I understand it, right? I understand it and I can speak to it. And there's a lot of it I can tune out because I understand it and I know how they operate, and that they want to let what they do from behind a screen do 99% of the heavy lifting for them. And they rely on that intimidation to scare us and silence us. And I get that too. When you come into my real life, when you take it off of social media and you fracture my real life, you fracture someone else's safe home space. You go into Melissa Hortman's home and you murder her. You share someone's address and phone number on the web. You target someone because you don't like the truth. That's when I'm going to get angry, and that's when I'm going to get really upset. And I would like you to put on the screen now what I woke up to on Saturday morning. If you would, what Andrea sent you. I want everyone to see. I'm not going to hide it, and I'm not going to be quiet about this. I have never once called for an assassination of a political enemy because I don't like what they say. And it turns out that the First Amendment is a lot more effective in protecting people than the second one in this country. Charlie Kirk was sitting at a TPUSA event in the whitest place, surrounded by his people, not our, not, he was surrounded by MAGA people and people who are right-leaning. And when that happened, I knew it wasn't one of ours because we don't do that. I mean, there are lone wolves and bad actors everywhere, right? We know that. One shot, one death. No one else got killed. They did not open fire on the crowd. This was one person who targeted another person, and instead, I got threatened on Saturday in a really specific way. And I want everyone to see what I woke up to because it's real. It's real. Okay.
Is this the part you're talking about? This bit right here?
That's one.
Yeah.
That's one of it. That's part of it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's my pinned tweet. It's my pinned thing on Blue Sky right now. So
Okay.
Saturday morning, I woke up to a bunch of phone calls that I missed because they came in at 3 in the morning and 5 in the morning with follow-up texts threatening me.
Text messages.
So
Oops, sorry. Hold
text
on. One sec. Sorry.
messages. First they called. Yeah. They called and they left text messages. And I don't give them the responses that they anticipate. I don't answer the phone when they call and let them engage me in conversation. Be like, why are you bothering me? I don't do that. People do that. There are people who record themselves being harassed. Now, I don't do that because that's what they want. And I don't respond to the text and engage in a flame war with them because that's what they want. And the one that says, you don't know me, but your name is on a list and I'm just trying to help you. No, you're not. That's one of them trying to get me to engage and share personal information. Where am I? Am I safe? What kind of building do I live in? Like, no.
Right.
I know how you operate and I know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to help you do that to me. I'm not going to help you harass me, shockingly. I am not going to stay silent on this. We did not kill Charlie Kirk. If you go into my Twitter account, I defy anyone to find one tweet of mine that celebrates the death of another human being by gun violence. Ever. I don't advocate for political assassination. Ever at all. I don't want Donald Trump to die. We've said this too. I want him to suffer for all of the things that he has done to people. I want him to go on trial. I want there to be Nuremberg trials and another impeachment and all the things that are supposed to happen legally. I am childlike in my approach to the world and what is fair and what is not. Who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? And the people who call me a filthy whore because I said that I don't like gun violence. People who called me a cunt because I said, please wait until you know who the shooter is before getting upset about it. Remember when we used to find out the facts before we had feelings about them? The people who told me that I deserved to die because I expressed my concern over the violent rhetoric from the right poisoning our country. Liberals did not do this. Liberals did not pull the trigger. Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. Tyler Robinson
Allegedly
killed Charlie Kirk. He turned himself in. He is in police custody and no one else is for this crime. No one else has come forward to say, I did this, not Tyler. Tyler went into a Discord chat to try to throw people off the scent and joked around with his buddies and all of the bullshit that we have heard. Prior to this moment, like you and I, the last time I talked to you last Monday, Charlie Kirk was alive. We didn't even talk about him. I am not a person who pays attention to that shit most of the time unless I'm forced to. Because most of the time, I try my best to tune out the noisemakers because I'm paying attention to the lawmakers. Sometimes they're one and the same. I'm paying attention to, like, I was very much paying attention to Nancy Mace's performative actions around the Epstein files when she was one of the first. It was a tranny. It was a pro-tranny Democrat. Fuck you. Fuck you for standing up with the Epstein files and then turning around and standing behind Trump and then pushing this violent narrative and not backing down from it either. Doubling down and digging in. I'm so sorry you were wrong for jumping to a conclusion, but it's not my fucking fault.
Right. Let me jump in on
this, Hal.
I understand. Let me jump in on this. One of the reasons why, I've always said that, like, we think first and then we have emotions. Whether people think that's true or not is bullshit. It's one thing, I'm not talking about shock emotions, like being spooked. I mean something genuinely, because you attach a feeling to an event and because you think it means a certain thing. And repeatedly, as you've discussed this, you have said a bunch of times, I'm sick of them threatening me because I said this. And I'm here to tell you, it has nothing to do with what you said. It is simply their perception of what side of the aisle you're on and your visibility. It's not an attack on what you're saying. It isn't. It has nothing to do with what you're saying because they don't actually give a shit. And I would argue also that the people who are doing these kind of attacks may not even give a shit about the other side of the argument. That they are, that especially on Shitter, which is a Stormfront troll factory these days. And
Yes, I know
so,
that. I know that. I
not
know all of the
only
things that you
not
are
only are
saying.
you not emotionally on the hook for shit that gets said to you on there, nor should you
I
be,
know.
but neither should be the other side of the argument in that regard, as if they are indicative of some sort of greater movement. Because one of the things that you could argue about this shooting was is an attempt to troll people into violence. That this is a,
Yes,
you shoot somebody, you
absolutely.
trigger a civil war, and everybody starts fighting amongst each other, and all of a sudden we're ignoring Donald Trump's takeover of the fucking economy and the Epstein files and all this other shit, and sending
Which
warships down to
Charlie
fucking
Kirk wanted released,
right.
right?
So
So I
so
can
and
disagree with Charlie Kirk on 99.99% of what he said. He had every right to say it. He had no one.
yep,
I do not agree with assassination. I do not agree with political violence. I
right,
agree. If you really cared about Charlie Kirk and you're out there using him as a political pawn, you should honor his last wish, which is release the Epstein files. Go
right,
ahead. Put your money where your mouth is. Walk the walk. If you're going to honor him and you're going to give him honors he doesn't deserve, because I will say this, he's no different than you and I. He's a
hmm,
podcaster. He was a podcaster, a conservative podcaster who shared conservative ideals, and some of them were extreme because he called for Joe Biden to receive the death penalty. He said
hmm,
a lot of terrible things
right,
within his First Amendment rights, and inciting violence is a little gray area. How, if something like this had happened to a liberal political influencer, I'm not going to name names, you know who we all are. If it happened to any one of us, there would not be flags at half mast. There would not be a petition to have any of us lying in state.
even if
There
Biden had
would
been in
not be
office,
this
they
reaction.
wouldn't.
Even,
And again,
even if,
by the
and that's
way, we're not
expected,
talking about. We're
right?
also not talking about an influencer. Can we? Let me talk about the material aspects of this, because I think one of the reasons why it gets carried away is because it fills in all the gaps in what everybody, whatever anybody's raw nerve is. This has the potential for setting that off, because it forces you to defend somebody you don't like. It also forces you to defend a circumstance that is not that is outside of your control. It is also with deflected and flagrant blame as a distraction. There may be some legit believers. There's so much room in this shit for there to not be a conversation that actually has any meaning other than the an emotional bloodletting, that I think it's important that we talk about the kind of mechanics of this for our own mental clarity. As much as this will
Yeah.
be seen by a lot of people as a pivotal moment on the right, they've been talking about this, like randos wanting to gin this up, the ones that have been gunning for some sort of awful. I got news for you.
Mm.
Like a lot of the gun deaths in this country, it will fade. It already has. For Donald Trump, it already had by the evening. He went to a football game.
No, I
He
know.
went, to, or
It's a
he
con-
went, or a
yeah.
baseball game. He went to
He
the
went to see the Yankees.
right. He went golfing. He
Yeah. As
talked
soon as he
about the
found out it wasn't
ballroom.
a Democrat,
Right. And also, by the way,
as soon as they
not
found out
only
it
is
wasn't
it,
a Democrat, it was
all
like,
right.
let's
So
talk about this.
I don't know if you heard my what I told Pete about my personal belief about what this person is and why the governor is having a hard time pinpointing what they were about and all this
Yes,
kind
I
of
did.
stuff.
I did listen to that. I was listening
Is
to that, yes, and
that
I had a conversation with my older son about this, and I don't know anything about gaming culture, which I shocking, right? But my older son does, and by the way, I would just like to let it be known to the MAGA people who are in the chat, I have 2 white sons who are 26 and 22. They were raised in the Pacific Northwest. Their father owns a gun and has gone hunting and grew up with hunting, but they did not grow up with guns. They did not go hunting. They did not play cops and robbers or cowboys and Native American. They did not play violent games. And even after my older son started playing video games, he did not turn violent. He did not want a real gun. He didn't want to kill anybody. They are 2 very good human beings who are empathetic to others. And so for them to blame it on video game culture or this culture or that culture, instead of blaming an individual for his, I'm not saying he wasn't radicalized. He was brought up by Republicans. He was brought up hunting. He was brought up doing this, that, and the other thing. Ultimately, he made that choice. It wasn't no one put that rifle in his hand and said, go kill Charlie Kirk. He made that decision on his own. influences are influences, but actions are different.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you say, God, I don't agree with that person and I don't like that he's saying mean things, that's entirely different from saying, hey, I'm going to go take that old hunting rifle daddy gave me and take him out. That's different. And
Mm-hmm.
so, the whole gaming thing, like my son explained the whole, explained that and explained the fascists thing and the Ciao Bello, whatever that is. All
Mm-hmm.
of it, he explained all of it. None of it is the reason. None of it is the reason. We don't know the reason. Tyler Robinson there's not been a statement from him. There hasn't even been
Right.
an autopsy. This is all very Butler adjacent, but at the same time, it is still the same online culture that created this ridiculous conversation around it rather than creating a conversation around accountability, which needs to be a part of this conversation
Sure, but okay, wait.
as much as
So
anything else does.
I agree. I got to tell you, I like accountability is one of my least favorite words in the world because it becomes a placeholder for justice most of the time, and it's because when people, it's like saying something's
Yeah,
problematic instead of racist. If something's racist, it's fucking racist.
yeah,
If it's problematic, come
absolutely.
back to me when it's racist. Because like life is problematic. What a waste of fucking language that is. And
Yeah.
accountability sounds like this kind of like double-edged sword used to, quote, like it sort of means justice when somebody on the other side does it, but it also means chopping at your own side before they even get off the ground. And a lot of this, like, we got to hold our politicians' feet to the fire, which is a torture reference that is fucked up on so many fronts. So in this particular situation, there will be justice for Charlie Kirk, who was shot and died, and arguably his family, and maybe even arguably the people who witnessed this awful shit, because they are victims too. When the person who is guilty of it, more than likely it seems to be this Tyler Robinson person, but if they had an accomplice that helped them or whatever, when that person goes to jail as well, that will be justice. And that's that. The it would not be justice if whatever their mangled theocracy or their mangled politics or whatever get their manifesto day in the sun like the fucking Unabomber, because it ultimately doesn't matter, because the rest of us aren't going to operate that way, and anybody who jumps in on it is either it's so detached from reality and humanity that they should be ignored outright, or are will meet the same kind of justice fate if they try that with someone else. It is meant to trigger a form of like nihilistic disdain. How many fucking people, after one guy shot another guy, which by the way happens all the fucking time in this country, did everybody go, we as a country are in such a bad space? No, we're fucking not. The vast majority of I would argue all of the liberals and progressives that were present that day were standing in line to yell at Charlie Kirk or argue with him. His supporters were there to watch. We were fine. The society was actually doing the part of it. Charlie Kirk, as awful as what he said, had people arguing with him in that situation. The person that shot him bypassed all of that, looked at the thousands of people gathered to engage in the good stuff, the difficult part of democracy, and superseded it by shooting him. And the people
Yeah.
that were there didn't go, hurrah, the second it happened. They all fucking scattered and were
No,
terrified and
no, they did
heartbroken.
not.
Right. So the idea that anybody in the fucking country on either side of the aisle is on the hook for person shooting other person is fucked up and needs to stop. I am not like, and anybody who tries to drag that to it needs to be called out for doing it. And by the way, this goes for the Luigi crowd. This goes for anybody who was making fun of fucking Paul Pelosi. Same shit. Fuck off. Nobody is on the hook for the actions of these
Yeah, I
folks.
don't
Now,
want
okay, go ahead.
I just don't want vigilantism to become the law of the land, because it never should. It never should. Just like
Right.
you don't have to send in the National Guard to do the job of the police. You don't
Sure.
have to. There is no need. The police can't. There's no such thing as perfection. I would love to know where they think this utopian society exists on this planet, where there's no crime, everybody's happy, everybody's equal, everybody makes the same amount of money, everyone's living in the same house, everybody eats, everybody has. It does not exist anywhere on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if it did? It does not. So in the society that we have, wouldn't it be better if you just tried to make every day in this country a little bit better than it was the day before? That's kind of the responsibility of our elected officials. And it's also this unspoken societal contract that we have. When we leave our houses every day and we enter into our communities, the unspoken rule between us is I'm going to try not to kill you with my car. Then I'm going to try not to kill you at work. I'm going to try not to kill you on my way home. And I'm going to try not to kill my family in my home. Like, it's one of the, like, we're supposed to be taking care of each other as human
Yeah, I
beings.
think that's a little
right?
low rung
Right?
in the description of it. I think we're just getting on with our lives.
Well,
I
but
don't
what
think
I'm saying,
no no no
right? But
no 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 no
what
no.
I'm saying
Wait.
is that
No.
I'm
No.
just
No,
saying we're
most
not
people are
supposed to,
not are
right?
well beyond
Right?
just the
Most
baseline of
people.
not killing people. Everybody.
This is where I'm
Fucking everybody
right,
statistically.
right. So when it does happen, which is a terrible thing, it is not wrong to say that individual did a terrible thing to that other individual. It is not all the people, it's that person.
Yeah, it's
And we
required.
have become, just like you say, just like you always say, don't say all, don't say everyone,
Yeah.
don't say none. Those quantifiers come back to bite you on the ass.
Mhm.
What I am experiencing personally in this moment is me being the good human being that I am, literally wearing a shirt, advocating for you also to be a better human, asking people to stop killing each other, stop hurting each other, and especially, in this time, stop it. And instead, what people, and I shared, I don't know how many times over this weekend. I mean, well, I got the texts and the calls Saturday morning, and here we are. It's 24 hours, 48 hours later, okay? Within the last 48 hours, I have gotten more horrific responses from clearly fake accounts, but a couple of real people. Not only do they not want to take accountability, they think that I'm Streisand affecting myself, that I made this up, that I made up those texts. I created those screenshots. I fabricated them somehow to gain attention for myself, to gain sympathy for my
Yeah, but
side.
who gives a shit
What Well, but that's
what
not
they
the point.
think,
The point is what happened to me is real. What they are
right?
doing is real, and it's all part of the gaslighting, which is not only did Democrats do this to Charlie Kirk, now they're pretending that they're innocent, so they're increasing their attacks on us. And why they're increasing their attacks on us is because they're embarrassed that they were wrong, which is stupid. It's stupid. Stop it. To the MAGA kids in the chat, please take this message to wherever else you all gather. If you are wrong about something, you will not get struck by lightning and die. I was wrong about a lot of stuff about the kid, because all of this misinformation was coming out. And there was for a minute a screenshot where a Tyler Robinson had made a donation to Donald Trump's campaign.
Right.
And it was passed off as that Tyler Robinson. Turns out not that Tyler Robinson, because
Mhm.
this Tyler Robinson would have been like 16 or 17 when that happened, and he wouldn't have been able to make a donation legally or something. It wasn't him. It was not him. So I deleted that tweet, and then I created a tweet saying I deleted my tweet because I got the wrong information, and now I have updated information. And I'm still here. Lightning did not strike me.
Mhm.
I don't understand when it became the worst thing possible to be wrong on the internet, to be wrong about something because you didn't have all of the information, which is why we should never jump to conclusions when it's something. It is easy enough to default assume in Utah, a white guy got shot. Who would have shot a white guy in Utah? Probably another white guy. That's about where I went with that. Other than that, there are people sucking you into some sort of conspiracy, watching the shooting over and over again, like the Zapruder film. They only have one person in custody. That person turned themselves in. Those are the points to continue to hammer over and over, because that's what we know.
Mhm.
We have to stick to what we know, not what we want to be true, not what we wish was true. The truth is almost never something we like. The truth is almost never something that's shiny and fun and something to brag about. A lot of the times, the truth is really hard and sad and difficult and hard to process, and you have to take some time to sit with it. It's hard. I was really disappointed in John Edwards back in the day, 20 years ago or whatever. Really disappointed in John Edwards, who cheated on his wife, who was going through cancer treatment. We found out he cheated on his wife and got his mistress pregnant. That's really disappointing. I did not pretend he didn't do that. I didn't blame the Republicans for John Edwards being a cheating piece of shit. We were not socialized to do that. This group of people has been socialized to never believe anything because they've been fed lies by the lyingest liar in the history of lies for a full decade. They have been taught you can never be wrong. You just move the goalpost to a different place, and you then ignore the wrongness that you put in the world and pretend you didn't. So now what they're doing is, I'm going to pretend. When they found out from this, Nancy Mason's like, death penalty, tranny, da-da-da. The second they found out it wasn't a Democrat, it was a whiplash hairpin turn to, well, now we have to pray for him. Now he has to come to Jesus. If only Tyler could have sat down with Charlie Kirk, he would have accepted Jesus into his heart, and they would have maybe been friends. I cannot stand that hypocrisy. You're threatening my life because you can't stand that kid did this.
Hold on, wait a second. The same people who said that if Charlie Kirk sat down with him, they would be friends or whatever, didn't tweet you a death threat. And we got to avoid the actual person.
Oh, yeah, a lot of them. First of all, many of the responses that I have gotten are trolling, fake MAGA accounts. Mirroring,
right. But
that,
but not because again, you don't. Again, I'm gonna push this on the same way that the same way that the right is trying to do an all Democrats, liberals caused this, you guys killed him, blah blah. They tried to kill Trump last year. All that language. There's no difference. There are people online who will weaponize this kind of stuff for lulz and bullshit, or try to activate some sort of civil discourse between people, or gin up some violence or whatever. But they're not the actual sane human beings, and their goal is to keep the they conversation going. These individuals are trying to lump the violent in with the people who are just full of shit, and the people who are actually trying to do some good. They're trying to muck it all up so that we can have right on left violence in this situation, or foment more discord. And I'm saying that is no different what you're saying right now about theifying these direct responses that you got that were terrible on Twitter, with saying that the same person who said if they'd have sat down with them, whatever, like retweets being retweets. I'm talking about the actual individuals who had the original thought.
I'm speaking about my experience.
Understood.
No. I'm speaking about my lived experience of the last 48 hours.
Right.
And this fucking guy in the chat, like, fuck you. Boo-hoo, poor Tara. You want to live my life for 24 hours, you shithead? Do you want to have your life threatened, your children threatened? Because you had the audacity to say, can everybody stop fighting for 1 second and just wait for the facts? That was my entire, I've defied
and that's what I'm saying about the because part. That's part of why you're,
since Wednesday.
What happened to you has nothing to do with what you said.
But boo-hoo.
What happened to no.
Boo-hoo.
What happened to you?
Fuck that.
All right. Tara, you're
it's real what happened to me.
Right, I know that.
I'm entitled to feel this way.
Yes,
and
you are.
Express it. And if my feelings make people uncomfortable, that's them, not me. People need to understand how real this is and how dangerous this is. And if I can't be the face of it, they're not going to understand. I'm a real person. I'm not on Twitter putting on a persona. This is the real me. Okay? This is the real me, a real human being who is really out here. This is my job. If it wasn't my job to write about politics and come on podcasts to talk about this, I would do something else. I would gratefully do something else, but I can't not care. And when people enjoy the fact that my life was threatened, that bothers me. Bothers me that you're going to enjoy, like, you're going to gain pleasure from knowing that somebody on your side of the political spectrum took the time to threaten my life. There's something wrong with that mentality. I don't enjoy it when something bad happens to the people on the right. Well, Trump is a different story. these little fish who make up the cult, who are in your chat, who are real people, is my assumption, who are celebrating that I got hurt, or someone wants me to be hurt. There's nothing okay about that. There's nothing okay
Okay.
about that.
All right. Okay. So
Okay?
here's what I would say is that one of the things that I feel like there's a real seriousness to this that needs to be handled. There also needs to be a recognition that that you are not surrounded on all sides by this in an attempt, which is what they want you to think, so that you will grow
No,
paranoid
I
and
know
afraid to go
that.
outside. Right. No, I mean
No,
that's the goal.
that's
That's
not
the
happening.
goal. Right. Whether they succeed or not, that's the goal. Obviously, from what was written to you, that's the goal. And so
Right.
the other thing too is to attach it to some sort of behavior, like they're going to curtail your behavior, and they aren't. It's not about your behavior; it's about what
Nope.
you do generally all the time. You're just an obvious target for
Right.
them, just like I am. I get them
I know.
too.
I'm on the
I just
list. I'm on the
right.
list that they're circulating. That's fucked up that there is a list circulating targeting teachers
If
and
there is, and
professors.
again,
And
all right, hold
there
on,
is. I've
hold
seen
on.
it. I have seen the Google Doc from the Charlie's murderers. That's what they're calling us.
Okay,
We're
the
not. We're not. Tyler Robinson is Charlie's murderer. Tyler
right.
Robinson is, to the best of our knowledge, the only one in custody. I'm not. I don't advocate for that. And for people telling me, "Oh, I don't understand them." I totally understand them. I know that they use intimidation 99% of the time to do the heavy lifting for them. I do have a police report. It is people who are like, "You're fake. That's fake." No, filing a fake police report is a felony, and I would not do that. I also made a complaint with my local FBI field office. Those two things are real. My screenshots are real. What happened to me is
Mm-hmm.
real. What's happening to other liberal influencers is real. And big names are on. I mean, I think ultimately they see me as probably a smaller fish because I don't have a million or more. Maybe I'm not that big of a deal. Maybe they leave me alone after a little bit because I'm not that big of a deal. But it's still real. It still matters. It's still a pathology that exists that they have been, they're being encouraged by members of Congress and Donald Trump. They don't, they're the ones pushing the violence, and it's having real life ramifications. If it only stayed in my phone, if it only stayed in the computer, I can handle that. Most of it is fake. I mostly block it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
engage. I don't let it. My feelings aren't hurt, okay? I'm angry.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is. You're not hurting my feelings by calling me ugly or whatever the names that they call me. I don't care about that. I don't care. You can say anything. Okay, I don't care. It's this culture of violence, and you, whoever you are that texted me, you thinking it's okay to take it from outside of the phone, outside of the computer, and take this into someone's life to hurt someone only because I'm out here advocating for everyone to get along. Like, we have fallen so far from where we were before Trump. We have fallen so far from when we were able to have differences of opinions
Mm-hmm.
without threatening each other's lives. I mean, I'm not saying there has never been political violence. There's, of course, there has. But if you look at the statistics, which I did tweet earlier, statistically, actions like what happened to Charlie Kirk are perpetrated from people with a right-wing ideology far more than anyone with a left-leaning ideology. These are just the statistics. They don't like the statistics. They don't, like we're in a world where people can just say, I don't like it, so it's fake. And that comes from Donald Trump poisoning the media and
Mm-hmm.
poisoning the national conversations about it. I would love, I would love to unplug. It's my job. Right now, it's my job to pay attention. It's my job to report on
Right.
what I'm seeing. I would love nothing more. You know what? I would love nothing more than to be oblivious to all of this. Like people that, I don't pay attention. How lovely for you to not have. What I would love to be doing, all I would love to be doing is talking about my book, which has nothing to do with politics. I would love nothing more. to I don't know, have been at the Emmys last night because I've already made this into a streaming series and I don't have to give a shit about somebody fucking with my livelihood and trying to pinch pennies out of this daily existence. That would be lovely. I would love nothing more. Maybe to have a radio show where all I'm doing is playing music and I'm not allowed to talk about politics, so I can put it away for a few hours a day. That would be delightful. Well, I don't have that luxury. And right now, I don't think any American has the luxury of ignoring what's happening in this country. Because it goes
Agreed.
beyond this, as you were saying earlier. It's a bigger conversation than just this, obviously. But
Yeah.
to create all of this, because you don't want to talk about the Epstein files. Stupid.
Okay.
Charlie Kirk wanted the Epstein files released. We can go back to talk about the Epstein files. We don't have to talk about this anymore.
Well,
Am I monetizing the threats I received? Somebody said, am I monetizing the threats I received? How dare you? How dare you?
Okay.
Fuck you. No, I'm not. You want to pay my bills, though? Somebody from England said that they would pay me $10,000 if I could prove that my threats were real. Isn't that awful? That's awful. How dare you think that I would profit off of misery deliberately? That's where we are, Hal. This is where we are. I would never.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Understood.
Would rather. Are you kidding? I would rather be waiting tables than living under the threat of this fucking shit. Are you kidding? I'm so angry. We are so far gone from what is acceptable and normal that you can't even.
Wait. Hold on 1 second. Again,
even find sympathy.
No. Here's the thing. I like all around, everybody, dial it down for 1 second and recognize that this is another part of the affliction I have been talking about for quite some time, which is the idea that somehow your computer screen or your phone is a fucking window and an actual indication of the outside world and the vast majority of the people around you. And it isn't.
No.
And the more you insist that it is, or like go down rabbit holes chasing people who are actively guiding you in that direction, taking the bait,
Right.
following the fucking breadcrumbs, insisting that you believe that we are in this separation on any part of this argument is your contribution to that violence. And it takes an active mental focus not to buy into it. And again, set it and forget it when that shit comes up online. But the more you dive into it and the more mental, focus you put on it past the point of your control, outside of your locus of control, that's the rest of life. Yeah. And it doesn't give a shit whether you feel one way or another. It is an asteroid hurling through space that will either hit or miss the Earth. And no amount of fretting about it will do a fucking thing. But it will ruin your day all the time and the lives of everyone around you if you continue to let the things outside of your control, dictate your emotional state. So,
yeah. What I wanted.
Wait for a second. Let me finish this thought though, because you had a lot to say, and I need to address this. Because as someone who's gotten death threats too, and I've spoken to this many times, all during Queer as Folk, from right wingers and ACT UP. People gonna show up at our DVD signings and throw acid in my face, and they actually had to arrest someone who was packing their fucking car.
Right. What is wrong with
no, not what's wrong with people. I'll tell you what's wrong with people. There's 8 billion fucking people on Earth, verging on 9. There's a window of shitty that exists and has always exists. That number is not growing. It's a percentage of a much larger group of people. And the false reality of online interaction is that it brings it closer to your fucking face than it would ever get in real life. And when you contribute to that, not only do you undermine your own mental health, but you also contribute to a discord in your close circle. People start shit up, and in the middle of trying to moderate what's actually happening, you cause conflict and discord inside your own circle. It's unnecessary, and it's part of the goal of the people who do this. The trolls online are not even the ones sending out the death threats. The vast majority of them, 99.9% of the kind of threats that show up online, are never going to be acted on are a myriad of people that don't even align themselves with the shit that they're allegedly, whoever they're against. They're doing it to the right wing as well. They're doing it back and forth to get these two people fighting. And the insistence that everybody goes that they will now paint a swath of human beings. I don't know if it's half the populace or 10 fucking people with the behavior of a single being is exactly how we got to right-wingers saying that what Tyler Robinson did is the left. It's the same mental machination. And it's stochastic terrorism, whether you're doing it actively or passively. You can stochastically terrorize other people by demonizing them and externalizing that onto them, or you can stochastically terrorize yourself by thinking they're around every fucking corner. And that's the problem with these circumstances.
Well, I don't
and there
think
are
that.
What?
Yes.
I
said I don't think that. I don't live my life in a paranoid delusion that someone's
No,
out
but
to
I'm
get me
not saying you do.
24/7.
I'm
I do
saying
not
when
live like
these
that.
things happen, there are opportunistic infection style trolls online that are putting you in the mental and emotional state you're in right now, in an attempt, by the way, to undermine your sense of self, your sense of worth, your sense of work, your question what you're
That's
doing.
not going to happen. That's
It
not
does
gonna
happen. No, wait. It does happen. Whether you work your way out of it is not a question. Whether you come to your senses after you've had this moment is not the point. The point is, it worked for a while. It worked while you were reading it. It worked while you were forwarding it. And it worked now when you're describing it. I'm telling you.
Well,
it's an effective...
I
No.
understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, but I've also been living with this for a decade, right? So this wasn't the first time that I had to file a police report about harassment like this, and I thought it was really important. There are almost 2,000 people sitting in your chat room right now.
Right.
So that's 2,000 people who see the real human face of what this shit can do, right? I wanted people to understand that when things like this happen, and I am talking about my personal lived experience of this.
Right.
Look at me. I am an actual human being. I'm not a bot. I'm not a troll. No one is paying me $8,000 a month. There's not a pack telling me what to say or do. It's just me, real person. And also look at me. I am 5 feet tall. I am 105 pounds. I am 56 years old. I am not physically threatening. Nothing about me is threatening. The only thing that people can be threatened by is the fact that I share truthful things on the internet, and that's why I'm targeted. I wanted people to see there are real people who are really impacted when you tweet your MAGA bullshit. When you tweet this stuff,
Right.
whether you're a real person or you're a
no.
bot,
Hold on one second.
this is a human
That's exactly.
face
I
on
know.
it.
That's exactly
That's
my
the
point, though. They know. They know. That's
I want
the goal.
other people to know when it does.
We
It
all
doesn't
do
happen
know.
to everyone, though. This
Right.
doesn't happen to everyone,
No, it happens to
right? So the
well,
people that this has never happened to, and wait a minute, the people who perpetrate this, I don't care if they care or not. I want them to know, here's a real person. I'm going to keep doing my job. What you're doing is horrific. And I think that if you could, as a human being, look back at the person you were before Donald Trump came into your life, you would not recognize the person you are today.
Maybe so, but I would argue that they would view this as success. I am
not the same person.
They would view this as success.
I'm not the same person. All I know is the way people spoke to each other 10 years ago is very different than the way they speak to each other now because of the rise of social media and the way the screen has allowed people to become desensitized and feel protected in ways that they actually aren't.
But it's okay. All right.
And,
yes, I agree. All right.
So,
I hear you.
Right?
I hear you on that.
I want to be pragmatic. I want to be pragmatic and I want to be practical.
Okay.
It's hard for me to not be emotional when I get angry.
Understood.
But I want this to stop. I want it to stop. I just want it to stop. I want people to stop hurting each other. That's what I want.
I appreciate that.
That's
And
all I
here's,
want.
yes, I appreciate that.
And I
I also know
understand
you.
it sounds naive and childlike, and I
No,
just
hang.
want everyone to take a collective breath and remember that America is supposed to set the standard for this world, and we're supposed to be a country that welcomes each other and allows each other to exist, whether we agree with each other or not. That's what this country was founded for. I understand it sounds simplistic and naive, but everyone has forgotten the simplistic and kinder parts of ourselves at this time, and that the children that we were are the children that we still are, and the children that are watching, and the children that are hearing, and the children who are impacted. It's all the same. The children who aren't being taken care of in Gaza, the children who aren't being taken care of here, the children who aren't being taken care of globally. All of it is connected. We are connected because of the information superhighway. We have choices of what we do on it. We can help each other or we can hurt each other. I'm tired of people hurting each other. I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. I have bought into the culture as much as anybody else, but I have done what I can to remain a good-hearted person who still believes that even the most vile of human beings has something in them that will not let their own get hurt. So, I want people to stop hurting each other. At all of this is a plea, seriously, to stop hurting each other because you enjoy hurting people. If you enjoy hurting people, I want you to figure out why, and I want you to figure out a way to stop doing that.
Okay.
That's
All
what I
right.
want. I might not
I
get it, but I want pe I it's just so frustrating to be misunderstood. I hate being misunderstood or misquoted, and I hate it when people say I'm faking shit or I'm doing something for an inauthentic reason. I get frustrated in that way, and I just wanna be heard in the most plain language possible
mhm.
without it being about MAGA or leftist or any of it, any of the ways that we identify, because what it comes down to
It,
is humanity. Do you
mhm.
want to wake up tomorrow alive? I
All
do,
right. Oh,
and I
yeah,
want
okay.
all
Well,
of you to
I
also, okay?
appreciate this, but I
That's it.
also I do have to push back on some of this, and I just need to address this because I don't think you were hearing me as well, and I do
I
think
was
that, you know,
too. I
mm,
understand you. I do.
maybe not.
I feel
There,
I know I do. I have known you for a long time.
I feel
We have been
like
talking for a long time.
in a, yeah, but in a realistic sense, I think you're completely fine. Like, none of us want Donald Trump dead, but if he was miserable and in jail for a long time, that's totally fine. So it's like, it's kind of the problem I have with the no hate thing. I did, you know, one of the no hate photos back in the day or whatever, and was struck
Yep.
by the fact that everybody in there believed in some hate. You know, so, you know, as long as it was the right people. The
Yep.
crucial part of this is that we are in a circumstance that, because of the actions of, allegedly, Tyler Robinson, the right is painting a huge swath of the country as the enemy and the other, and ratcheting up violent rhetoric around this.
Yep.
And in the same way, in the reaction to it, there are people that are on our side going, but for real, back the other direction, and that was the goal of the person who did this in the first place. It is my opinion that, much like Donald Trump is a chaos agent, the Kremlin doesn't give a shit who is in the White House. They just want a chaos agent in there to break the thing apart. The same thing is true of this person shooting Charlie Kirk. They just knew this is a set off. Okay, that's why they're not. That's why they're, you know, not, you know, like, they haven't confessed and all that kind of stuff. Okay, it is our responsibility in these moments, if you want peace, to be the change you want to see in the world. Well, one of that is, the biggest part of it, I think, for all of us, is to not paint all human beings by the actions of a few. No, and especially when those actions are of a few of a few of a few, a subset of a subset of a subset of online behaviors. It is not only bad for your mental health, it's bigotry. That's the definition of bigotry. And just, to quote Woody Allen, the whole idea of like, I'm a bigot, but for the left, so it's fine. That doesn't fly, especially the more serious the circumstance gets. And so if somebody pokes you as a troll online, they will get the attention. And it's almost been like a living example of what you see in the chat as it's going by and what's being said. And so a lot of people in there have been very supportive of you. They're very upset by how you were treated.
I know,
the
and
vast
I was
majority,
going to
right?
say something.
Right.
I was
And
absolutely going to thank them because sparklers are the best.
I get it. Yes.
The
But in the
sparklers
middle
are
of that,
great.
look where
I love you
your
guys, and I appreciate that.
look at where your brain went and what your response was immediately. And again,
Yeah, because
you have
I
to
saw
understand.
that in the middle of all the goodness.
Right. No, it doesn't matter. No. It doesn't matter because it's not the majority. And it's not, and anybody who would say something so rude and
I
dismissive or
know.
whatever, especially if they're trolling, isn't going to be convinced by your true emotions. And that was my point, was that trolls don't give a shit about the politics of the moment. Trolls want people outraged and upset and brokenhearted and enraged, and that's what they want. And so there is
Sad.
right, but they're immature,
Sad. That's their
like
existence.
who knows who
Sad
they
that
are, right? Like,
that's their
and again, and they might, by the way, it might even be something that they want. They could literally be paid to do this. We already know that there are
Sure.
Chinese actors and Russian actors and fucking Indian troll farms that are hired by other people, both inside the United States, outside the United States, mix there to foment this kind of shit. So you don't even know if you're being emotionally upset by someone. It's a stranger. You don't even know if it's a real stranger. And so this is the point I'm trying to make.
It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So the responsibility in that moment
know it
is
is.
even the person who is carrying on that conversation, the real person that may be inside the country that is parroting something they heard from one of these bots or groups or intentional misfires or agents provocateur or whatever the shit is. And even parroting that, they wouldn't have parroted it except they don't think they're alone in it. If they thought they were alone in it, they would keep it to themselves. But because they think it's part of a greater movement, then they feel comfortable shit talking because they feel like they've got backup, right? That's a common thing. But they don't. And that loneliness epidemic that we were talking about with Pete has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of people think their backup online is an IRL group, an in real life group, and they're not. They are alone. The people that are giving them thumbs ups and all that kind of shit and commenting on their shit posting aren't actually real. And when they try to form real relationships,
Right.
With those people, they don't exist, and so they they get into these insular groups on and on. Especially, the more ground they cover, the more attention they get, the more the trolls move in, it balloons, everybody thinks it's a movement, and then when they actually try to meet up with some of the people, there's only 3 people in the restaurant, and they're like, what the fuck happened? It was never that thing. They were always living a lie, but they don't know it. Right now, the online rationalism crowd that grew out of the new atheists that I was talking about with Pete, that created the Zizian cult, which I wrote that blog about months ago when I brought up to everybody, who had killed 6 people. You can argue Charlie might be the 7th of the ancillary rollover of that Zizian rationalism, new atheism, online fucking, Tumblr offshoot bullshit, and the ease of getting a gun makes it easier for people like that to act on it. But they're just as driven because they think they're surrounded by a movement, and then when it boils down, there's fucking 4 of them, and they can't stand the sight of each other. One of them ends up stabbing the other one and falling off a boat. So this is Diane, if you look at my Substack, there's a whole post about the Zizians if you want a shorthand of them. They're not the only group like that. And they're so fucking weird, they're not even indicative of each other. They have not even defined who they are themselves, much less enough to be the enemy of any group specifically. They don't like anybody. And so they don't, and they also don't care about anybody. They have a plan, and that's all that
What a
matters.
sad
So they can go
existence
in.
too. That's just.
What?
I mean, it's just these. It's just sad. It's sad. It's sad
Oh,
that
they've all,
that's your whole life.
we've,
It just
yeah,
makes me
right,
sad
but
because
yes,
to not have any joy in your life, to like your whole existence is you're angry and you find other angry people and you go be angry together.
yeah.
Like,
See,
what
it's
does
not
that
that
do? I
simple
don't
though.
get
These
it.
people don't think they're angry. These
I
people
know it is.
think
I know. I know.
you're looking at it
I
from
get
your
it.
emotional state right now, and you're overlaying it
I
onto
am.
them. They're having a
Yeah.
great time. They think for the time for a little while they've
Yeah.
found their clique, and then they end up killing some people like it's fucking Heathers, and then it all starts to fall apart because it was always built on a lie. And it ain't new.
Yeah.
This shit's been around for fucking ever. These guys might as well be Thulsa Doom and his followers in the Conan movie. It doesn't matter. There will always be disaffected people. They will always be kind of acting out on this. And our goal should always be those of us that care about the greater good of the general populace to just survive this and be themselves, to move from being human doings to human beings. If we give a shit about those kind of things, one of the things we can't do is give more ground to those people than they deserve ever. Ever. I read Heather's right then. Ever.
Well,
Right? It's
yeah,
yeah.
yes. Yes, and fortunately, and first of all, thank you. Everyone in the chat, I will be fine. I just wanted to express how angry I was about people attacking me personally and threatening my life, and I wanted to share that because keeping that a secret, because people are like, don't put the screenshots online, and then other people are like, definitely put the screenshots online, and other people are like, you should delete all of your social media. And I'm like, I will never delete all of my social media. So like, I will be fine, and thank you very much for caring, because I knew that people in the chat would care, because the people, like you said, for the most part, who are here with you are here for the best reasons, because they care and they are good human beings. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. I will buy myself some ice cream or something with it. But I will be okay. I think, we will all eventually, like, in our own ways, be okay. Right, I'm just mad. I'm just mad right now because this is another manufactured distraction, and it's doing the things that you say. And there is a bigger conversation to be had about the way people treat each other and the way this has developed over the years. And there's always been this in the world. And this is also a conversation that we've had with our friend John Fugelsang regarding the way people treat each other based on, and the way that they bring biblical stuff in it, because so many of the people who have been threatening me this weekend also have crosses in their bios. And, there's that aspect of it too that we don't have time to go into.
Sure we do.
I know that there are more. Do we?
Yeah.
No, we're at the
Oh,
end.
all right. It's 11. You're
So,
right. Yeah.
but maybe the next time, but I can tell you that most of the people who've been threatening my life since Wednesday, when it happened, was only Wednesday when Charlie was shot. Since Wednesday, I have gotten more horrific trolling responses. Again, most of them are fake, blocked all of them, reported the death threats. But then there are the real ones. There was one who's absolutely real, who who responded with, "Find out where it works," meaning, where do I work? Calling me an it,
Right.
dehumanizing me by calling me an it and finding out where I work. Right here, man. I work from home. This is where I work. So, are you and your friends going to show up outside my building? Because if you are, I'll call the police. Like, we have to be sensible about this stuff. I would never, ever, it's stupid, and it needs, that's why I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because people are like, and I'll tell you this, and I will go a little over to tell you this, but when this first happened to me in 2016, before we understood it all, before we understood how they operate and why and all of the things, and I consistently called the FBI cyber crimes unit, and they never did anything about it. There were people who dropped out of my life because they were afraid they would also be harassed by these people. Because we didn't understand how it worked, my local law enforcement didn't know how to deal with it when I got death threats because they thought it was just something from the internet. In the 10 years that's elapsed, the people who perpetrate have really not changed their tactics at all. They just have better technology to do it with. You know, they already had the burner phones, but now they have AI. And that is part of it is really dangerous too, because it helps protect them. And we're not protected. I'm not protected when they do these things. The best thing that I can do to protect myself is to call the police and make a real police file. Contact the FBI. Let my building management know that this isn't a situation. But let people who don't have to live like this know that this is something that happens. Because there are people who don't know this happens. There are people who this doesn't happen to, even if they are someone who's active on social media. It doesn't happen to them. They haven't, for whatever reason, become a target. My name is on some list with other people's names. That's not okay. It's not okay. More people. And we have to tell the truth about what's happening to us at the same time that we continue to advocate for the truth around this story, because we don't have all the truth. Like you said, we don't have a signed confession yet. We just have a person who turned themselves in. Only one person.
So here's the thing.
I don't back away from sharing this because it's important. That's why. And so there were people in the chat like, just get over it, move on. No. If you don't share this truth, then people don't know it's happening. And so people just need to know that it's happening. And that's why. I just wanted to explain why it's important to me.
I don't think anybody in my chat room doesn't understand that people get death threats online, especially on our side, especially post Charlie Kirk. Yeah. I don't think that's lost on any of us.
But it hasn't happened to them personally. But I wanted them to see the language and the way that they try to manipulate you.
Sure.
Like that one that says, I'm here to help you.
Sure.
You know, like, you don't know me, but you're on this list. And where do you live? And be careful. Right? I'm here to tell you.
Okay,
look at my lived experience. This is real. Please protect yourself better, because this can happen to you. If it can happen to me, if it can happen to Brooklyn Dad, if it can happen to Joe from Jers, if it can happen to anyone, it can happen to anyone. There's a meme going around right now where it's a I'm not in it, but it's a compilation of a whole bunch of online influencers and their names and their for people to go after. I don't, don't do it. Just why? Why would you do that? I don't get, I get you and I are thinking, feeling people. They don't think like we do. We don't think like them. I understand that. We're not doing that to you though. We're not doing that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter either.
And
they think you're not doing it because they're weak. It's why Charlie Kirk was not wearing, like when people said, for example, that Charlie Kirk was killed for his beliefs. No, he wasn't. He died, I guess, for his beliefs, but he wasn't killed for. He was killed for them. He didn't die for them. He was killed because he thought he was in a tent in a t-shirt. He didn't think he was going to war. He thought he was having a conversation. He didn't go there going there. I've gotten a bunch of death threats and this is the day, and I'm still going to go out there like he's Larry Flint or Bob Roberts. It wasn't that moment. It was just
even after Laura Loomer.
He assumed, like a lot of people, that it would work itself out. Like this is just part of it, and that is a concern when people are that highly visible, I suppose. But I don't know if he got any kind of warning from anybody in this group, or they were talking about it at all, or there was an idea like there was. I think Bongholio said that on some show that they were aware they had this person under investigation, seeming to say that they were looking into this person before it happened.
They didn't. Come on.
Right. Well,
no, they weren't. Bullshit. They wouldn't have found this kid if he and his dad didn't walk in and turn him in.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. What I think he means is that they were looking in.
Easily hidden.
Right. No. I think what he probably meant, because he's stupid, is that they were looking into the Zizian rationalism stuff that I was talking about, and that they assumed he was part of that group. They're making that assumption, and therefore they think we were looking at these people, and we just which again doesn't help your fucking conversation at all. It doesn't. You didn't do your job. Even worse than you already didn't do it. The point I'm trying to make ultimately in all this is that there are things you can control and there are things you can't control. And the things you can control of what you said today was pay attention to stuff. Some people might try to like catfish or farm information out of you so that they can find out about you and target you personally, whether it's through harassment or actual violence. So if you don't know somebody online, don't give them any details about your personal life, and take care if you're visible about your political opinions to do at least baseline security around yourself, because people are people and they can be nuts at any given time and that kind of stuff. That's the practical aspect of it. The other thing
That's right. That's why I had to move. I had to move because I got death threats. I had to move out of my garden apartment to a secure building.
Right. So what I would say is, good.
No one should have to do that.
I agree. And Charlie Kirk had security at all of his events, and some people thought they were in on it. And there was all this conspiratorial bullshit that was going on behind him. But Charlie Kirk, even at that situation, had to have
the hand
people
signals.
there. Right. Charlie Kirk had to have security with him all the times just to talk about things. He shouldn't have had to do that either, I would argue, in a truly
no, of course not.
Safe society. So that said, that part you can do. The rest of it, and I think the bigger part of the responsibility is do not allow people online who do not have a stake in either political movement, in any move at all, to bait you into adversarial beliefs about your fellow human beings. And that's exactly what the majority of online trolls do. That's the goal of it.
That's very smart.
It's not victimization, it's paranoia. They want you, you could argue that this was, there was a big part of what Russia did with the anti-racism movement, was try to feed all this thing in there, that there's this idea that there are only two types of of white people, those that hate you to your face and those that hate you behind your back. Well, what does that do to a group of people? That's the kind of shit an abusive boyfriend tells his girlfriend. You're like, your friends, you might think they're going to help them, but they really talk to me, and they don't like you very much either. So that you can't get help, and you can't find people who actually do love, or realize that the vast majority of people out there, the only person abusing you is that boyfriend. The only person controlling you is that boyfriend. And if you could speak to anybody else, you'd realize that those are lies. That everybody you run into would tell you not only that you're fine and you deserve to live and you deserve goodness and real love in the world, but they would tell you to get the fuck away from that person. And so this is what I'm saying to you. The internet, in especially X, is an abusive boyfriend telling you that the world it hates you so much that they have to keep hitting you so that you remember that because the world is so dangerous. And that is toxic as fuck.
That's right.
And you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of it. You what, sorry?
Yeah. No.
So
no, I am. There's so much of it never touches me, but these last few days have been the absolute worst that I have ever seen on Twitter since 2016. Because there's a lull in it, and there's it goes like this, right? There's outrage, and then it dissipates, and then there's a new outrage, and it dissipates. But as far as the coordination with the messaging on this is like nothing I've had. Like the immediate messaging, before they knew anything at all. That was like nothing I had ever seen.
Well, yeah, but the assumption was because it wasn't like it was because of a random shooting on the street. It was Charlie Kirk, and he was known to these guys as as political. So of course they were going to react like it must be, a left winger because he was so right wing. The binary aspect of this was easy to trigger, and therefore it rings the dinner bell for the fucking trolls and says, guess what? Everybody is encamped, And it doesn't take anything to set it. If it was, once it gets watery, once they start having a hard time pinning on and stuff, that's when they started eating each other. If you notice that, and if everybody hadn't
Right.
just immediately bifurcated into two camps, that watery part would have eaten at maggots more than anything else that any like asshole on our side who decides that now's a good time to dunk on a dead guy, no matter what you thought of him. Again, I've made this point about
And now
like the
they've
fucking
martyred
Herman
him.
Cain. Herman Cain is just as dead as he was the day he died because he went to a fucking Trump rally during COVID with no fucking mask on and unvaccinated.
That's right, I remember.
There's time. You know how long it was. You know how much time you have to deal with the fact that Charlie Kirk may have been, in your opinion, an awful person, a racist, a bigot, a hypocrite, and all that kind of stuff. Forever. You know why? Because that's how long he's going to be dead. He's dead. It's not an injury. It's not somebody who was in the fucking hospital and he got out over the weekend and everybody was like, okay, we waited until he was, we found out if he was going to live or die, and now we can shit on him all we want or whatever. Like while he's in a fucking wheelchair, like Larry Flint. Again, no one has to silence you about fucking Charlie Kirk, and you don't have to take the bait on who. Most of us in this circle occasionally gave a shit about Charlie Kirk and recognized that the falsity of Turning Points USA and all this kind of stuff was bullshit and a great target for an example of how MAGA is full of shit and that they pretend to have Christian values and they don't. And that's still true.
Right.
It wasn't about him. And the more you make it about him and they try to sanctify and saint him, and we go, no, wait a second, we get dragged into that same bullshit instead of going, the whole message is horseshit. And if you get it dragged down into the minutia of blood for blood bullshit that they want to trigger, you denigrate your own side. You slow the roll. Right now, so many people who were pro Luigi and are tap dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave. When the fuck am I gonna take you seriously about trying to get rid of the death penalty ever? Because apparently you're for it, as long as you like the target. And as long as there's no trial, right?
Right.
So fuck that. No. And part and parcel to this whole thing is recognizing that if you care about human beings and you care about the people that Charlie Kirk was attacking, and that Turning Points USA and fucking CPAC, which is, we all know that Turning Points USA is a rollover from CPAC. They're trying to remove that from Matt Schlapp and move it to another organization. That's where the fucking money came from for Turning Points USA. It wasn't about the youth and the youth movement. Half the audience at these fucking gatherings that he had was just the CPAC audience. It's nonsense. But because Matt Schlapp was fucking fondling dudes, they had to move this to a dude they knew was straight. That's it. That's all this was about. And the hypocrisy will still be the hypocrisy. It's not about this fucking guy. And the more we get baited into talking about this fucking guy, the more control they have over the narrative, and the less we're talking about the fact that Trump is bullshitting about TikTok and bullshitting about the fucking tariffs and the jobs numbers and fucking Russia and like all the shit he's failing at. The conversation has been eaten alive about whether or not we can bitch it about a dead guy who's fucking dead. He's never gonna convince somebody of anything one way or another. He's never gonna come back around like, Orrin Hatch at the end of his life, or fucking Strom Thurmond, and he's not gonna, hit, like, the internet's forever, so people are gonna watch his videos, but that'll fade and other shit'll happen or whatever. He doesn't matter to this whole thing, to this conversation, unless we make him matter more than the message itself. And that's what they're counting on. They're counting on us making it about Charlie Kirk.
You can't defame a dead guy.
You can. Yes, you can. You can denigrate his family name and his children and his wife and his friends and all that. Right. But again, he's never.
This is the facts. You and I say in the facts.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make is, Turning Points USA is still going to be a bullshit machine, with or without him, because that's its job. And the more they drag us into this fucking conversation about him, the less we're talking about that machination is still in, it's an operation. It's still in high function. And again,
Mhm.
if you
And they're
leave
gonna
them to their
continue to use him.
yes, they're gonna and they
They're
want
gonna
you to
keep
do that. So
using him as a
I'm
pawn
just saying you
forever,
don't have
forever.
to take the bait. You don't have to argue about whether he was a saint or not. It doesn't matter. He's gone. And
Mhm.
his family will get justice when they put the
Yep.
person who killed him in jail. And that's that. None of us subscribe to the fucking zizzy and rationalism AI doomer. We have to kill people to start a fucking revolution so that we can have, communist trans communities any more than we would like agree with fucking Paul Pelosi's hammer attacker to start a Christian nationalist world. It's fucking stupid.
Right.
It's not about us. But
Mm.
we keep
It is.
taking
So,
the bait.
no.
And so I would say
Well,
bring it back
okay.
to the
So in
ideas.
closing, if
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Bring
well,
it back to
here's an
the
idea.
ideas. Yeah.
Charlie Kirk wanted the Epstein files released.
There you go.
Charlie Kirk wanted the Epstein files released. One of his last public interviews was with Megyn Kelly, of all
Mm-hmm.
people. Megyn Kelly also advocated for the full release of the unredacted Epstein files. And now she might be a little scared because she's been kissing Trump's ass again, even though he told the whole world she was on her period. But anyway, if you're a person who wants to honor Charlie Kirk's memory, like Republicans are calling for, Republicans should put their money where their mouth is and release the
Mm-hmm.
full Epstein files because that was Charlie Kirk's one of his final wishes on this planet. So if you're a big Charlie Kirk guy and you loved him and you were that guy who was like crying hysterically because I'm sure you saw that video where the guy's like, they killed Charlie. Oh my God. Like, and he was really upset. He was
Mm-hmm.
really upset that, and understandably so, witnessing an assassination would be traumatic for anybody, I would guess. Um, honor his legacy and his memory by releasing the full Epstein files because that's what he wanted. That's one thing I agreed with him on. So
Right.
I have been saying you want to honor him. There you go. If you don't, then maybe you didn't really honor Charlie. I mean, if you're Trump, they were like, "Oh, how you doing? Your buddy Charlie Kirk died." He's like, "Yeah, it's a terrible thing, but we're breaking ground on the ballroom."
Mm-hmm.
Trump doesn't give a shit. Trump doesn't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. Does not give a shit about his wife. Does not give a shit about his children. And also, and I mean, but he'll use him. He will use him as a distraction from
By the
the
way,
Epstein files.
that would have
Absolutely.
gotten so much more attention from MAGA if they weren't busy running down people online who were fighting against the deification of Charlie Kirk. If the vast majority of people on our side had just gone, you know what, in 5 years we can argue that he was full of shit this whole time, but the guy's dead, so I don't care. We'll talk about issues, and I'm going to stick to what path we're on. If we'd have all stepped back and it didn't end up being about whether or not Charlie Kirk deserves the attention or whatever and all that kind of stuff, if we'd have dialed that back, MAGA would have noticed Trump going, "How do you like that ballroom?" Well before we did. They are starting to. But they would have done it at the time.
They
But
don't
because,
care though.
yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And anything he does is fine with them. They don't
No, it
care.
isn't. That's the thing.
They
And
care that he doesn't care about Charlie Kirk.
Yes, we have believed this for a long time that he's impervious. We
What
keep
are they?
talking ourselves into how strong and what a grip he has on everybody and stuff. And I got to tell you, it ain't the fact. And it's increasingly not the fact as you look at his poll numbers, fucking Rasmussen showing how Latinos are dumping him. All of this shit is meaningful. Like Democrats and people on our side of the aisle are doing more PR puffery for Donald Trump than maggots are right now. They really are. We're doing with him what he does with MS-13. MS-13 was not the gang that Trump ever said they were, right? They still aren't. But they gained ground like fucking crazy against other groups because the president of the United States said they were as big a threat and that they were the worst and the toughest and the meanest and all that. They gained territory in the United States and in other countries because Donald Trump stood there every day going, MS-13, those are the fuckers, man. They kill everybody. They're vicious. They're worse than anybody, right? Remember that? They're not. They're the fucking Sinaloa cartel's way fucking worse. And there's multiple cartels that eat MS-13. Those are fucking foot soldiers for them. They eat them for lunch. But his sales pitch convinced a bunch of people and got a shit ton of people killed because they didn't even feel like they could defend themselves, because if they tried, this giant gang would kill their family members. Same thing. Same thing with us and Donald Trump. We need to stop being convinced that Donald Trump is the fucking man and that he's impervious and that we're looking at him like he's fucking Drago and you can't, he's like a piece of iron.
You. No.
Right. But I mean, no.
The guy with the droopy face who stroked out on camera at the 9/11 memorial?
You just did it. You just said they won't not believe in him. They won't what I'm telling you is it's not the case. And we need to understand that. And when you recognize the vulnerabilities and you see them as they really are, then you can focus on something. And you also don't get worn down thinking, oh my God, I'm up against this impermeant group of people who you can't penetrate their shell. They just can't hear anything. When they're bitching about him left and right, and there are plenty of opportunities. There are tons of opportunities to undermine his control over this group of people. And like I said, they don't need to see the light. They just need to see the lie. And in this particular instance, there's a bunch of areas.
That's a great line.
There's a bunch of fucking areas. I came up with it when we were talking on your show. There's a bunch of areas where he's vulnerable on a bunch of these issues. But if we keep talking ourselves out of this, right? If we keep saying they're never going to believe this, like they've gone, okay, because they don't give a shit about women and adult women getting pawed. They think women are lying about this kind of things to go after celebrity and money. They can bullshit themselves. They don't give a shit about real estate because they don't know how any of it works. So they don't give a fuck if he lied. He was just working the system. They don't get right. Like some of them have enough soft racism to think that he was railroaded about not renting to black people. They don't give a fuck. But what they do give a fuck about is some of them have got daughters and they've got friends who've got daughters and they all go to church and they see those daughters and they think there's a human trafficking group that is scooping these fucking girls up and throwing them into a meat, grinder. And Trump and Epstein, Epstein was definitely part of it, and Trump might have. And that's bugging them, and it's sticking. And his
good.
That's right, but that's what I'm saying. It's there, and it's haunting the shit out of them. So you gotta,
I know.
Like you got when there are vulnerabilities, we can't allow their lie to be our lie.
No, never, never, never. And one of the things I did tweet was Donald Trump was in the Epstein files before Charlie Kirk got shot, and he'll still be in the Epstein files every day after that.
Right.
And that is just true.
Right.
That's just true.
And I would argue you could have said
that, it would.
Trump is still in the Epstein files. Like it could have worked just that well. Does that make sense? It could have. You could have just said that.
It's true.
And they wouldn't have been able to.
And I do tweet that, by the way. No matter what, he's still in the Epstein files. No matter what else he does, he can send troops. He's not sending troops to Illinois anymore. That's not happening. Now he's going to send them to Memphis. Now he thinks he's sending them here. No matter what he says, no matter what he threatens, no matter what he tries to do to move the goalpost to get you to look over here so you don't look over here, he is still in the Epstein files forever and ever in the Epstein files, not just in the birthday book. The Treasury Department has its own set of Epstein files separate from the other Epstein files. And Putin has his own Epstein files separate from the Epstein files that the Treasury has. It will continue. It will go on and on. We're going to be talking about the Epstein files long after we've stopped talking about Charlie Kirk or the person who rises in Charlie Kirk's place. And I understand Charlie Kirk is, a symbol of what it is, and it's a converse. They're gonna find another person to put in his place, and when that person decides that it's time for them to go, they'll be, Ben Shapiro, I think, is rubbing his hands, waiting for his turn. Like it's my turn to step up now. Charlie's out of the way. Who knows? I don't know, but what I do know is that those of us who remain in the world where the truth matters and continue to write about the truth and respond with the truth and talk about the truth have to hope that it will be the truth that always rises to the top, good, bad, or indifferent, regardless of who it's about. And on a final note, because we're so over, tomorrow on the Tara Show, which is on the Political Voices Network, Devlin and I are welcoming Dr. Jeffrey Grammer, who has lots of experience in looking at the cult mentality also works with veterans and has done. I'm going to be spending the rest of my day watching his videos, and I can't think of a better. We had him booked before the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and so but now I feel like I want to have a one-on-one session with him, and anybody who watched this whole thing would believe that I need it. It's cutting through the bullshit and going into the pathology and how we deal with this and what we do moving forward. I think it'll be a really good chat for everyone to come and watch, because here's someone with a degree in helping people get through life and helping them cope, helping them become stronger mentally, which we could all use right now. So again, going back to, I don't want anyone hurting each other. If I can use whatever small amount of online presence I have to actually help people, I'm going to do that. So everyone who's in the chat today, thank you so much for your generosity of time and your generosity of spirit.
Yeah.
Come join us tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to be asking him real questions, trying to get to the heart of the matter of how we go on together as a country. Where do we go next? How can we have better conversations so that nothing like this can happen again? Because I don't condone political violence. I do believe that we're going to see something, we're never going to not have something like this in the country. There's always going to be a faction that's trying to start shit. I want to know how we go on together as a country and keep our collective wits about us, because that's also really important, is to stay here in reality and use real tools, real equipment mentally to stay here in reality and not let it get the best of us either, no matter who we are, right?
Yeah.
So everyone, please come and join us tomorrow.
Yes. And also, I'll be on this afternoon dissecting all the freak out and burn down, and Donald Trump's having moved on faster than like anyone in Kirk's circle. But I'm gonna make a quick.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
He's
a quick
the man
prediction.
who buried his wife and then played golf, or his ex-wife, then played golf immediately. He doesn't care.
This book by Eliezer Yudkowsky and Nate Soares is going to be on the shooter's bookshelf. It's called "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies." It's an AI doomer book, and it will be. Yeah, you don't need to read it.
I don't want to read. I'll read John Fugelsang's book instead. Read my book instead.
Why superhuman AI would kill us all is the subtitle on this. That might be a book on tape. I don't know that they took time to read it. But
they would have an AI do it, wouldn't they?
Maybe. But I guarantee that book is in their lexicon. I guarantee it. That will be found out. Yeah. Meanwhile,
read this book instead. It's fun. There's sex in this book, and people who love each other, and rock and roll, and Foo Fighters Easter eggs. And Foo Fighters just played their first show with their new drummer over the weekend, and I could have enjoyed that. I could have enjoyed those videos a whole lot better if the situation was different. But anyway, rock and roll will save your soul.
One of these days, I'm going to teach you the secret to joy in life is finding happiness in the things you cannot change.
And music. Find happiness in music. Find happy. You know what I did? You know what I did the other night, and then I'll let you go. Last Monday, Low Bar Corral. We did 2 Low Bar Corrals last week, Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday night was our normal plugged in full band night, but Monday night we got real super nerdy with the harmonies, and our lead singer took us through 4 songs and really broke it down. And one of the songs that we sang was "The Night We Met" by Lord Huron. I don't know if you know that song, but it's incredibly beautiful. And I put it on Twitter, and I said, I just wanted to share this because it's so beautiful, and everyone needs to, just shh. And of course, I got ridiculous responses. But if you go on my Twitter, I believe I put it on my YouTube because it's so beautiful. And it is 4 minutes. It is 4 minutes of. So please go and find that on either my Twitter or my YouTube or my Instagram, because I want you to be able to feel how we felt when we were in that room singing that song together, because it was beautiful. It was my group therapy. It calmed my heart and soul before anything bad happened, and I have listened. I'm never going to delete the video from my phone. It calmed my soul every single day this week, and I've played it over and over again because it's a really important song for my book, The Sound of Settling, when it eventually becomes a streaming series. It's very important. But what's also really important is the healing power of music. You're a musician, you know this. So someday you're going to come to Portland and you're going to sing with us and you're going to feel that. But for people who have not had the experience of group singing, take 4 minutes out of your life, play my video of us singing The Night We Met with your eyes closed. That's what I'm going to ask you to do. It will feel great. I promise. And I thank you so much. Again, generosity of spirit, generosity of heart, generosity of time, because you have choices of how you spend your time. Thank you for giving some of it to me. And I look forward to returning that generosity to all of you when you join us tomorrow on the Tara Show. Thank you, Hal. I appreciate you and your friendship.
Absolutely. Yes, you too.
I love you.
Big hug. Be safe. Okay.
Be a better human.
I don't know if I can.
I'm trying every day. Every single day.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Ladies and gentlemen, there she goes. What a conversation. Lots of stuff. Can I encourage folks within my chat to contemplate one idea? The ability to tap the brakes. If you see a corner coming up and you don't know if the vehicle you're in can handle the degree of the turn, let's just say, maybe tap the brakes. Go, all right, is this worth saying? And if it is does it need saying now? That kind of stuff. Yes? Just a thought. The answer might be yes. How are you afraid at all? No. No, I have concerns, and all of them are about just being a better dad, friend, boyfriend, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff within my locus of control. I have a moral responsibility to not care about anything I don't have a direct input in. So that's why. So anyways, much love to you guys. I will see you guys this afternoon. And I also say, just for a second, you also don't have to, as serious as people want you to take their argument or their beliefs, perhaps don't, unless you have real reason to. Maybe. Just a thought. That's fine. I think this is one of my AI theme songs. I'm gonna go with it. All right. I'll see you guys later. Be good.